Hello and good morning from Montreal, Eastern Standard Time. So it's probably around 8 o'clock on the West Coast and definitely afternoon, almost 1 o'clock in the UK for anyone checking us out from over the pond. My name is Paul Thibault, the Impulsive Culinarian, and I'm trying out this after many, many months away from this channel. Hello, Adam Phillips. You love gluten? Don't be an asshole in my chat, pal. Come on now. This is not the forum for that. That's on TiVo Vision, bro. But I'm glad you love gluten. Thank you for starting things off like a champ. So I wanted to say that it's been a long time since I've done anything on this platform. The Impulsive Culinarian channel has been sort of neglected for a while, so I'm jumping back in to sort of rekindle with all of you who have been supporters of the channel for many, many years, and it's been a lot of fun for me to go back into the comments and catch up. There have been some incredibly moving comments from a lot of you, especially on YouTube, where you're posting directly in the comments of the videos that I posted over the years. It's been like 6 or 7 years since the. Yeah, I appreciate that, bro. I appreciate that. I know you're on board, man. I get it. I get it. The comments have been fantastic. I've been reading some very impassioned things in YouTube. They're all, albeit brief, but it's a lot of interesting stuff. Like, this recipe has changed my life. I'm finally able to feed such and such to my kids or my spouse or my significant other. It's really rewarding for me to come back after all of these months and see those kind of comments. So I really appreciate that. And this is an experiment that I'm trying out to see if there's any kind of community questions that would like to be addressed. Some of the comments that I've seen in the videos on my YouTube videos, on my recipe videos, very straight up questions about, well, if I have to replace egg, how do I do it? Is flaxseed gel the right thing to use? Can I replace guar gum with xanthan gum? These are all very valid questions, and sometimes we don't. I mean, I can answer in the comments of the video itself, but it makes me realize as I'm looking at all of these comments over the past few months and saying, wow, you know what? More people need to know the answer to this, and also to share the resources, because some of you out there are very knowledgeable. You've been eating gluten-free, sometimes dairy-free, soy-free, keto diet, all of these different sort of restrictions. And sometimes it's thrust upon you in a brand new way, and you're like, wow, I have to fucking relearn how to cook from scratch. It's not easy. Certainly a big challenge for a lot of people, especially midlife, right? The midlife food crisis is not a fun one to overcome. So I'm just basically coming on here to say I'm around. I'm here. And if there's any questions that people have about what can I do to replace such and such flour? What can I do to, how can I take your recipe, Thibault, and modify it for a certain need? I've heard of this other recipe that I really like. Do you have a gluten-free version of that, right? Those are the kind of questions that are happening in the comments of the YouTube channel. So I just want to come here and talk to you guys about that and see if there's anything that we can do as a community to help each other out, because I won't pretend to be the smartest one in the room. I certainly am not the smartest person in the room, but I have put a lot of many years of research into creating food that's safe, and I think that's what it's about. It's about safety more than anything else. I think a lot of people, the conversations that I've had with members of the gluten-free community, there's a lot of stuff that comes back to, like, I don't give a shit about whether or not it tastes good. I just want to make sure that they can eat it. It's not as bad as an allergy, right? You don't need to have an EpiPen when you're dealing with someone who has to eat gluten-free and they ingest gluten. It's not necessarily a death sentence, but it can feel as close, because what it does to your body, what it does to your insides, it's ridiculous that people have to tolerate that. And around 40 years ago, 30, 40 years ago, there was hardly any attention given to that. And in fact, it was often dismissed by anyone in the medical profession because there was just a lot less understanding about it. There might have been a few heroes out there that were spearheading intolerance to certain proteins, but it wasn't in the forefront, not like it is today. where Hollywood celebrities are eating gluten-free because they just feel like it. So that's why I think this kind of discussion is important. And what I plan on doing is coming here online Sunday mornings and having a discussion about how to be safe with food. And in fact, one thing that I've done is I've gone through the website, impulsiveculinarian.com, to make sure that all the recipes that are contained on that site are 100% gluten-free. So I spent a little time in the week leading up to this chat to say to myself, am I making sure that I'm spreading that message of safety in the kitchen, culinary sense of security, creating a safe place. And so I can say with confidence now that on impulsiveculinarian.com, you will find only recipes that are 100% gluten-free, and most of the time dairy-free when it applies. If it's a vegetable dish that has no dairy in it, well, then there's no need to say it's dairy-free. It's like akin to saying dairy-free water. I don't think that's necessary. It gets kind of redundant. But on impulsiveculinarian.com now, I've taken a few things out just because it's sort of like, I don't want people to have any question marks when they go to that site. I think it's important that there's a sense of security. So all of the recipes there are 100% gluten-free, and when applicable, dairy-free, sometimes soy-free, allergen-friendly. Some of the comments that I've been reading, it's such an education, because it wakes me up to the idea that there's people that can't eat corn flour. There's people that can't eat sorghum. And I know that there's some confusion. Sometimes people say I'm allergic to. That might be the case, but more often than not, I find that it's an intolerance to certain proteins, right? When I say proteins, there are proteins in almost every food. And so people can have intolerances or even allergies to things like strawberry seeds, kiwi peel. There's every possible freaking thing out there that people can have like a reaction to. And it's fucking hard to find the answer to that. Like, how do you know when you're eating a slice of pizza? Is it the dough? Is it the cheese? Is it the tomatoes? Is it, preservatives, certain preservatives, right? Like, what do they call that? In wine, there's oh my God, I'm not going to find the word. Anyway, I'm not going to just pretend to know what I'm talking about here. There's an ingredient in wine, sulfates. That's what I'm trying to think of. And that's big in a lot of tomato-based, canned ingredients, sulfates to keep the food fresh for a very long period of time. So there's all these different things that can lead to problems. And in the comments that I've been reading, so many of you are saying, great recipe. It's not even about whether or not the recipe is great. The comment is, all right, I've seen the recipe, but I can't eat that one, and I can't eat that one. How can I make your recipe? And so that's exactly why I'm here. I want to make sure that I'm available to the community, and in whatever way, shape, or form we can. I can be through direct messages and whatnot, but I think there's a lot more. I think. Effective to talk about it. Conversations are the way to get things done, right? And so if we're talking about it together as a community, and sometimes, a lot of the times, there's people lurking in that conversation that are not participating, but they're learning, which is great. I do that all the time. I watch a lot of videos and live streams where I'm just sort of participating in the conversation anonymously, and I'm just absorbing. I think more people do that than actually take part in the conversation. My old friend Adam here, who is an amazing dude, who I've known for 160 years, has decided, hey man, I'm just getting the chat going, because that's love, that's support. That's an old friend saying, I see you're doing your shit, Thibaut, I get you. So here we go, let's help kickstart. And that's important. But not everyone is as brave as my friend Adam, all right? A lot of people out there that are just sort of, I don't know, I just started to cook gluten-free and I don't want to ask a stupid question. Or I've been trying to cook gluten-free, but I'm making the same 3 meals every fucking week and I don't know how to broaden it. I don't want to show to anyone that I don't know how to make better meals. There's a lot of things involved. There's a lot of emotions involved. And so that's why this forum, this gluten-free forum, what I want to do is create a safe place so we can talk. We can talk about that kind of stuff. So much crazy stuff happening in the gluten-free, dairy-free world. And over the past 5 or 6 years, much improvement, so much improvement. If you're shopping gluten-free, for instance, and you're buying ingredients to try and feed your family or a loved one or someone that you know that's close to you, then you just want them to be able to eat something that's tasty because they have had so much removed from their menu. So what you're probably doing, if you're new to the game, is you're going to the regular grocery store and you're finding out that there's a lot of very expensive, overpriced crap out there, right? That's basically what happens, I think, at the beginning of that adventure into gluten-free cooking. Uh, is like, wow, I mean, sorry, I want a granola bar, and because it's got the words gluten-free on the pack, I have to pay 3 times as much. Loaf of bread, $6, $7. I'm talking Canadian money here, but it's relative to wherever you are. If you used to pay $2 or $1.50 for a big loaf of normal bread, and now you're paying twice, 3 times, 4 times as much just because it's got the words gluten free on it, that's harsh. That's really harsh. So there's an immediate emotional response. It's inevitable to say, holy crap, now I have to get a second job just to be able to eat, or I have to eat less, or I have to not eat bread, right? And that's where the motivation at the very outset of Impulsive Culinarian, that's where it came from. Because someone in my life was dealing with that for years. And I would sort of just brazenly said, well, we're going to fucking fix that. And it's not a quick fix. It's not a quick fix. It's relearning how to cook. It's rebudgeting. Your entire budget has to change in order to be able to accommodate these gluten-free products or even the ingredients. And that if you're buying ingredients to pay less to have that same luxury of eating what you used to eat, but then you have to spend time making it. That's hard, man. That's really tough stuff. And so that's why I think, in my mind, I wanted to have this discussion, and I think it's something that I want to grow over time. I know that there's some people that are out there that maybe they're a little embarrassed to ask questions, or they don't feel confident enough to publicly talk about things, which is totally cool. So part of the reason for this live stream is to say, well, not only are we doing a forum where we can talk about this live, where we've got brave people like my pal Adam who are totally comfortable talking in front of people, but also for anyone else who's not so up to that challenge, and to say, all right, I'm just going to go and lurk and see what Paul and the gluten-free gang are talking about, the Impulsive Culinarian community. Let's see what they're talking about today. So we can have some coffee together, we can just chit-chat, and then ask questions, and have answers that are moderated in such a way that there's no bullshit. There's no, like, we're getting right to the point. It's not about whether or not you like my recipes. I don't care about that. I don't expect everyone to love what I make or what I have made in those recipes that I've posted on impulsiveculinarian.com. It's not about making you guys like my recipes. It's about having a discussion about something that is so important. And time again, in the months that I've been away from this channel, I have this sort of repertoire of knowledge in my head, experiments, years of trying out things. Shit that doesn't work, right? And I know what doesn't work. And then there's personal tastes. There's things like, I don't like the taste of such and such flour, but I really prefer using this. That's subjective. So I don't care if my recipe is followed to a T. Every recipe is a ripoff of somebody else's idea. And so if we're honest, the recipes are just a starting point. They're a gateway to a bigger challenge of you taking taking charge of your own kitchen and making it a place where you can safely create food that is going to be great for your body, for your family, and hopefully taste good too. And there's a lot of tricks out there. And so I'll go back to this often. I don't want to be the smartest one in the room. I just want to be someone that's talking about it because we need to talk about it. We need to talk about it. Especially, through all of this pandemic, there's been a lot of challenges, a lot of different, everyone's got their story, everyone's got their stuff. And so when you have that challenge of COVID and, being safe in pandemic, elderly people, kids, all that kind of stuff, There you go, Sheila. How you doing, pal? That's awesome. Beautiful. Props from my gluten-free kitchen to yours, my friend. We also need to educate the may contain. Yeah, I totally agree, Sheila. That is so important. We see so often on the package, although there is no gluten in the products themselves. Yeah, absolutely. There's so many aspects of this world that great people like Sheila, right? You know, man, you've been working this so long, and you're very, very knowledgeable. But the kind of things that we all learn individually, we don't always like. There's always something that we can learn from each other. I think that's so crucial. So yes, thank you for that comment, Sheila. And it's great to see you, by the way. I miss you. I appreciated your comment in the channel a few days ago when I started, resuscitating Impulsive Culinarian. Put the shocker on there. Clear. Bring it back to life. It's been a long time. And so we all have that journey together, and there's stuff that we can share. The may contain. That's a good point. Um, it's like a cheat. It's passing the buck. It's not taking responsibility, isn't it? May contain. It's just like, what are you, fear mongering? Like, and I don't want to put a hate on for companies that do that. They're doing it because they need to protect themselves, right? They just need to protect themselves. That's a legality. But then here you are, the consumer, that, oh, fuck, I'm allergic to nuts, may contain. Okay, well, you can't buy that. What if there is no chance of it, or they're very low percentage? Are you willing to take the risk? It's very, very, very difficult. Yeah, it's very difficult to navigate. So this is why we need to talk about it together. I think that's important. Sheila, how you doing, by the way? It's great to see you. And I mean, I don't want to drag out your, getting you to talk about personal stuff in the public chat here, but is there anything that you'd like to share with our community here? If you're watching on YouTube or on Twitter, I haven't connected all of this yet. So I've got the Twitter and the YouTube is on one feed, and the Facebook is on a different feed. But I plan on getting that to come together soon enough, and we'll fix that out. We'll sort that out depending on how all of this works out. So let's just say that it's a beginning. It's a start of a brand new thing. Impulsive Culinarian has been around for many years, man. I remember when I started it earnestly as a sort of a vehicle to be able to have my family eat at the table together, as opposed to making 4 different meals every freaking night, like enough. And to save some money, right? Because it's all about consolidating your food budget and trying to make sure everything is safe and tasty and all that. So that was the motivations at the beginning. Many things have changed since then. And I think it's still important to take that knowledge and share it and discuss it with the community. So what you can look forward to in this particular, I'm going to call it the gluten-free forum for now with Impulsive Culinarian. I plan on doing this every Sunday morning. I'm not sure exactly what time. It depends if the kids are here or not. There's homework responsibilities and there's other stuff going on. So I want to make sure that it works and that we create a time slot that is conducive to everyone that would be involved. But I think Sunday mornings, late-ish, is going to be when we do this. And currently, that's going to be broadcast on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. Twitter, the good thing about that is that there are a lot of members of the community, of the Impulsive Culinarian community on Twitter. But I don't think you can participate in the chat on Twitter. It's really, that's the place to lurk. You're on your mobile, you're whatever on an iPad or something like that, or you've got it. Maybe just lingering in the kitchen while you're doing stuff. Hi, Lanny Ann. Thank you very much for that comment. Very interesting. I appreciate you being here. It's great to have new faces and old coming together. So thank you for your comment. I appreciate that. Lanny Ann is connecting with us here on YouTube. So this is the beginning of something that I really feel it's important to do on a regular basis. Impulsive Culinarian, it started many years ago. And in my personal life, I've gone through many, many transformations. Not all bad. I'm just saying, like, we all have our challenges in life, and I've overcome a lot of different changes in my own way to come back in a roundabout way to recognizing, not ever forgetting, but recognizing the importance of discussion and bringing to the forefront so many things that we can share and have in common and just find solutions to. One of the most important things that I realized when I was trying to learn how to cook gluten-free is that I'm definitely not alone, right? I'm certainly not the only one in the world that's taken on this challenge. So many of us, we need to be able to say, holy shit, yeah, there's other people, man. Regular people, They got life going on and day jobs and all that, and kids and family and whatever. But we still have to figure out how do we eat properly so we don't hurt our bodies. And some people that are thinking, I don't know if I need to eat gluten free. I eat some things sometimes and I feel lethargic and my intestines are going crazy and I don't even know what it is. So we can ask questions in this safe environment, in a place where you don't feel like some kind of a fucking freak that I'm asking this question. Nope. I've heard pretty much every question you could possibly imagine, and there's others. I'm sure that we'll have some surprises along the way. It's going to be fun to be able to sort of share in that. It's a little bit of misery and a lot of success, because once you get it and once you get that cooking gluten-free down and you're like, okay, I get it. This is different, but it's not impossible. You can eat delicious food. You can make gourmet food. You can do Christmas cooking that appeals to everybody. And I think a lot of the comments that I've seen by catching up in some of these videos and posts and whatnot, which is such a reward. And it's not because of me. It's not because of my recipes. It's because of what you guys have put in that hard work to say, I fed this gluten-free cornbread to so-and-so, my husband, my wife, and they are so freaking picky, and they loved it. Win. Huge. You know what I mean? Lanny in YouTube here saying, every day I meet people out shopping and shocked at the lack of gluten-free products. So true. And she says, I truly appreciate your bread recipe. Lanny, thank you so much for that. That means the world. I'm glad that you are sharing that, because that's so important, right? How is it that we're supposed to just absorb the idea that, oh yeah, all right, Udi loaf of bread, $8. Oh, thank goodness, it's on special for $6.50. Excuse me, but the fuck? There's nothing crazy in there. There's no magic powder. You know what I mean? Oh, that's expensive stuff. It's a premium tacked on because you and we have no choice. And that sucks. That's being taken advantage of. So yeah, we need to talk about that as well. I think that's an important point you're bringing up, Lanny. Adam saying, I actually was having that issue. Eliminated alcohol and my digestive issues cleared up. It could be so strange to understand, like, why is it? And let's talk about alcohol for a second. There's certain types of alcohol, right? We can talk about the ones that we know are gluten-based, barley-based, and all that, beer and whatnot. That's the obvious ones. You can say, well, I'm going to omit beer. But then you can have some people that are saying, you know what, if I drink vodka, even if it's in a mixed drink with all perfectly, organic juices and whatnot, but that one brand for some reason is like, it's messing me up. It's messing me up. Rums too. I've heard this with rums. Certain rums, like people talking about, it wasn't Havana Club. It was another like medium level brand of rum, and I can't recall which brand it was. And I'm not trying to peg brands here. I'm just trying to say that there are certain differences in the various types of one type of alcohol. People saying that they can go to France and have the baguettes and not have a reaction because the gluten there, the wheat is different. So that's another part of the conversation. It's important to talk about that stuff. Lanny back in YouTube saying, Thanksgiving was fabulous in our home. It was all gluten-free and delicious. Congrats, man. Happy belated, successful gluten-free Thanksgiving. That shit is awesome. I love hearing that. And isn't it a great boon to be able to say, yeah, I fed everybody. They all freaking loved it. We had the stuffing and you name it. And then to not have people say, yeah, well, it was great, but I can't wait to go home and have real food. You want to avoid that, man, as a proud culinarian? Don't we all want to just be able to feed everyone and not have them go away feeling like, boy, can't wait to snack when I get home. They're busting out the chips. Adam is on Facebook is saying, it was mainly beer, but when I eliminated it, I felt better. Yeah, you know what? I get that. And there's a lot of different types of beers, too. Like, I have a real problem with regular imported beer, Molson and Labatt and all that kind of stuff. I don't drink it anymore. It costs me more. The premium that I'm paying is in money to get the Guinness and the Kilkennys and the, like there's even Smithwick's is sort of like borderline. And when I don't know if it's a preservatives thing. There's a preservatives, or even, like, I don't want to fearmonger here, but like the soap that they use to clean the vats, sometimes there's some kind of chemical thing in there. I don't know. We're definitely on this channel never going to get into, it could be this. There's no fear mongering or conspiracy theories going on. We're purely about silence. Sorry, Sheila, I missed your comment. You said on Facebook, Sheila Goss is saying it's pizza night here on Fridays. Your pizza recipe is still my go-to recipe. Oh, thank you so much, Sheila. I appreciate that. I tweaked it a bit, but the mix is so awesome. Yes, tweak away. Tweak away. That is so important. Every single recipe that I've ever developed on impulsiveculinarian.com is a tweak of, all my favorite culinarians, right? In the non-gluten-free world. I mean, I admire so many incredible chefs that have been killing it for like their whole lives. And so taking that and translating it into something else, you get a sense of how much effort people have put in. You read some blogs and you're like, no, I don't know what the hell they're talking about. It's like 18 paragraphs of text, search engine optimization to try and get you to land on their page, and then the recipe down at the bottom. Like, okay, I don't judge anyone that's doing that, because I get why that happens. You're trying to sell ad revenue on your clicks and your banners. That's cool. I respect that. I've done that. I've been there. But my recipe pages are the opposite of that. The recipe's right on top. Instructions, basic. On the bottom, that's it. Done. Hey, Ken Phillips, welcome aboard, man. We've got the whole family going. Good to see the Phillips family jumping on board. Lanny on YouTube is saying no one could tell the difference. Yes! Mazel tov, man. That's fantastic. I love that. I think that right there is basically the pinnacle of success we're all striving for. We just want everyone to have a good time and not say, oh, yeah, the food was all right, but that's the worst. And Lanny's saying, Aldi has some good box mixes for cake, biscuits, mac and cheese, and cheesecakes that are already made gluten-free. Love it. Aldi. Okay, well, I wasn't aware. That's a brand? That's a gluten-free brand? And I'm guessing U.S. Am I right, Lanny? You're from the U.S.? I'm sorry, I don't remember where everyone's from. And I'll get around to sort of not memorizing, but figuring that out as time goes on. I'll get better at remembering where each of you guys are hailing from. We have some UK friends. We have some US friends. So Adam is saying, Lise Lamarche Phillips, great gluten-free recipes from my Impulsive. There you go. That's great. You're inviting the fam in. I appreciate that. So yeah, okay, that's good. I think that, all right, so the goal of this, it's not to spend all day talking about it, but definitely to have a forum at a time on Sundays that I think is conducive to most people. Sunday late mornings, where you've fed the troops and you've taken care of the fiduciary responsibilities and all that. So what I will invite you to know is that my website, which is impulsiveculinarian.com, and for the folks on Twitter and YouTube, I'm just going to put it in there. And unfortunately, Facebook, you'll just have to go to the bio of my profile, which I'm sure the link is in there, impulsiveculinarian.com. And listen, self-indulgently, I want you to go and check out my recipes. But at the very same time, and in the same breath, what I do want to really stress is that is a repository of recipes that I've created over the years with lots of love and trials and errors and mistakes made to come to a point where it's good enough to eat. It's good enough to eat, and I would serve it at a party. There's a difference between I would serve it, on a Wednesday night, and I would serve it for guests that are not gluten-free. There's a big difference. Heather and saying, what the fuck about those bread prices is correct. Yeah, I get it. $9 a loaf. It's an unfortunate reality. An unfortunate reality. But this is consumerism. We can let's just be honest for a second here. Consumerism, man. This is the world we live in. So, pros and cons. Quick cons. Prices are exorbitant. Absolutely fucking exorbitant, and ridiculously so, because the ingredients therein are not reflective of the cost. It doesn't cost more to use cornstarch and tapioca flour and sweet white rice flour and whatever they put in and all the different variants. It doesn't cost that much more. And the shipping, I'm sorry, this is worldwide, man. Udi's and all of them, they don't, it doesn't cost you more to ship a loaf of bread. And not only that, but it's half the size. So it's kind of quadruple the price. So there was my motivation right from the start. So those are the cons, the prices. The pros, let's be honest. You're just going to be honest. I'm going to tell you what I think. I really feel that today there are a hell of a lot more products on the market that are actually not bad. Udi white bread, the baguettes too. I love the baguettes. That's great. And listen, all right, I've made all of the different mistakes in creating loaves of gluten-free bread and whatever, ones that rise, ones that don't. And when it, surprise, we're in town, we're coming over for supper tomorrow night. Are you making some food for us? Yep, I'm going to the grocery store and I'm paying $9 for the freaking gluten-free bread because I don't want to bake it. I don't have time. And so it's kind of an extra cost. It just chips away at the budget every freaking week because you're in a hurry, whatever. So yes, you can cook like crazy and make a bunch of loaves of bread and slice them and freeze them. Yes, absolutely. But we are not all Martha Stewart, are we? We're trying our best here to survive, especially in pandemic. It's not always easy. You know, you go online to do your shopping so your groceries are delivered so that you can be safe and stay at home. They don't have freaking sweet white rice flour. They don't necessarily have xanthan gum. You're going to the damn store with the mask on and you're freaking taking a risk so you can go and eat. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on there. A lot of emotions behind all of this. So I get that, and that's why we need to do this. We need to chat. We need to talk together on Sunday mornings and hang out and have discussions and with friends like Sheila Goss, who I've known for a long time in the Impulsive Culinarian community. Appreciate you, pal. And Lanny, telling me beautiful comments. It's so nice to hear that my recipe helped you in some way. But it's not about my recipes. It's about all of us working together. So Lanny is saying it's a grocery store in USA based in Germany and expanding all over the world. Yeah, that's cool. Aldi. So let's talk about that. Aldi, A-L-D-I. Lanny is saying that that is a very good brand and that she seems to be a fan of their mixes, which is great because you're still doing a little bit of cooking, but it comes sort of pre-mixed with that. You know, it's already got the binder agent, which is either xanthan gum or guar gum. Mac and cheese, gluten-free. There's a couple of interesting brands of mac and cheese that have gone like in weird directions. I remember discovering a couple of them, but you're saying Aldi is a good alternative. That's good to know. So ALDI, check out for that. Look for that brand. You have it on good recommendation from our friend Lanny Ann, talking to us on YouTube that the mac and cheese, the cake and biscuit mixes, and the cheesecake mixes. That's cool. I don't know if that's dairy-free or not, but certainly gluten-free. So thank you for that recommend, Aldi. I appreciate that. It's very kind of you. So Lanny is saying Schar is an excellent German brand of baked goods. Okay, S-C-H-A-R. S-C-H-A-R. All right, good German brand of baked goods, but they're expensive. Yeah, yeah. Often that's what happens when you're starting to get into the specialty mixes, and then you become brand loyal. They can afford themselves a luxury. But yeah, they're appealing to a certain market. They're appealing to people that are hard to please and also have a food allergy or restriction. So this brand has expanded to Walmart and Costco. So this is what I'm talking about earlier. I'm trying to say that, 20 years ago, this shit didn't happen. You wanted a gluten-free muffin? Good luck. I mean, you would get the muffin. Was it good? No. It tastes like garbage. And you're like, well, at least I can eat it. Now it's different. You've got all these brands. You've got Aldi. You've got Schar. I want to say Schar, I guess. S-C-H-A-R. Probably really tasty. And even Udi's is doing some good stuff. There's Glutino, which is sort of like a Canadian company. I think they have since sold to a larger group who have absorbed them. I think by Udi, in fact, if I'm not mistaken. Udi's a huge, huge company. The parent company is massive. But yeah, there's a lot of that going on. So the availability and the variety that you can get now, much better than it used to be. But fucking pay for that shit, man. And Julie Knight, thank you for jumping in on YouTube, saying, I find Schar at a local discount store for very reasonable prices. Finally, that's wonderful. And that kind of stuff is happening. I won't guess that it's because of consumer complaining. I'm just going to guess that it's competition. That's the reality, is that we're finally getting past that really long hump of actually having variety, right? In the gluten-free and even dairy-free ice creams and frozen products, that kind of stuff. Like, there's some really good stuff. And I'll be honest, I drink almond milk all the time. I mean, I just, personal choice. There's so many brands available for that are not soy-based. I'm not talking about the soy stuff. I'm talking about almond and coconut mixes and all that kind of stuff, Antim from YouTube is saying, mixes from King Arthur and Bob's Red Mill. I totally agree. Bob's Red Mill for the win, man. These guys have been doing it right from the beginning. I don't know too much about the company, about the, the makings of, but I just have so much respect for Bob's Red Mill. Here's a big company. To me, they're the Amazon of gluten-free. They've been available everywhere online. If you live in a remote area and you can't get access to some like weird ingredient because freaking Impulsive Culinarian said you need to have a half a cup of this. What? Oh crap! I can't find that anywhere. Chances are pretty good that you can get it. Bob's Red Mill delivered to your door. Granted, the price is not necessarily the best as if you went down to a bulk store and found it on your own and put it in a bag. Yeah, absolutely. But for the luxury of not having to get up and go into your car and go and get it, love it. Bob's Red Mill for the win for sure. And we have Darlene on YouTube. Darlene Uptagraft. That's a cool name. She says, just tuned in. Are you covering true gluten-free? No grains such as corn, oats, rice. I can't have any of these. So Darlene, no, that's not what we're talking about. However, I will just say about that. My site, impulsiveculinarian.com, is not about attacking the problem of all protein allergies or intolerances. That's not my goal. That's not my reason for being. What I created was a repository of recipes that concentrate on that very infamous wheat protein, okay, and concentrating on, I guess you're going to call it the generic version of gluten-free. And along the way, some dairy-free and some soy-free. But my specialty is not avoiding all things like corn and oats and rice. Unfortunately, that's not the place. And I wish very much that I had more recipes that would appeal to people with restrictive diets like yours, because I know that's a real problem. I know that's a huge problem. And it comes up all the time. I get questions like, Paul, how can I replace the corn flour in this? Well, I'm just going to be straight. In that recipe, if you replace the corn flour, it's going to taste like shit, and don't make my recipe. Like, go and find a different recipe from some other dude or dudette like me who has spent time developing something that works, because all of the different the integration, the combining of different ingredients, that's what a recipe really comes down to. Is it nice? Is the texture good? Does it cook properly? Will it taste nice? To develop recipes that are free of gluten, corn, oats, rice, that's a different game. And this is not the forum for that. So I'm sorry that I don't have answers for that. I can talk about gluten-free 100%. But unfortunately, I don't have the expertise to be able to go that in depth. Maybe one day. I'll never say never. But in the interim, unfortunately, Darlene, I don't have those answers. But I do wish you success in your adventures of finding the answers to that. And when you do, come and tell us about it, man. Come and tell us about it. Because there are going to be others in this community that are going to have the exact same question as you. How do I freaking manage to eat properly without eating corn flour, without eating oats or rice? It's not an uncommon question. Hey, Kim Weinmeister, how you doing, pally? It's like, what the hell is Tebow up to, man? What's he doing? He's an online whore. He's always on freaking socials. All right, so Lanny, I'm sorry, I'm catching up here. Oh, Heather D says, can I complain a bit about pea protein? Yes, you can. You can absolutely complain. I have a severe legume allergy. I'm sorry to hear that, pal. Except soy, luckily. Wow. That's like a half win, right? You can have soy. You're in a good game there, because there's a lot of products out there. And so Heather says, and there are legumes in everything. Yes, there are. I have to make everything from scratch. And that's not fun. That's not fun. So the same battle that we all sort of struggle with of like, oh my God, someone in my family or yourself has been diagnosed with celiac. Or, I don't know. I mean, it could be that you've come into a relationship where there's someone that is dealing with, allergy restrictions or food restrictions. And you're like, yeah, I guess I can't make my famous freaking, pot pie. So you have to learn how to cook again. And so in a case like Heather's, where she's talking about having a severe legume allergy, man, that shit is crazy. And talking before about may contain, they're not necessarily addressing the idea that a product may contain lentils. They're talking about gluten, peanuts, right? But they're not necessarily talking about legumes. So that's another battle. And much like I would say to Darlene, unfortunately, this forum is not focused on that. But it doesn't mean that we can't talk about it. So yes, you can totally complain about that here, Heather, 100%, because we need to bring attention to not just the idea that we have to have safety. We got to feel safe when we're eating, and we don't always get that. It changes everything about going to restaurants. You're talking to your server. Maybe they're not so up to speed. Maybe they know a little bit, and you're just like, does this contain gluten? Oh no, it's gluten-free. But the frickin' sauce that they're putting on it is full of gluten, and then you're screwed. And is it the server's fault? Are you going to get in a lawsuit? Like, there's all these crazy things. So legumes, talk about a specific niche thing that is not part of the nomenclature of warnings and, things on the packaging. So yeah, I feel you, man. I feel you. Heather, I totally get it. Not a fun battle. Maybe one day I'll start a website that has more to do with that. Because you're not the only one. You're not the only one. But let me just say it, very clearly. That's why I wanted to do this live discussion, exactly for this reason, to talk to all of you about why we should be just careful, but also able to ask like the stupid questions. We gotta have a place for that. So yeah, this is exactly what this is for. So thank you for your comment, Heather. Good luck with your adventures in that and finding all of the safe foods that you can eat for yourself and for your family. Lanny Ann, I speak to store managers everywhere I go and ask them to please stock more gluten-free items. Good for you. Be loud. Be loud. Right? Make sure that store managers know. I used to do that all the time at my local grocery store. I'm like, you've got one type of dairy-free butter, margarine, whatever, spread product, but you don't have the soy-free one, and they have 3 different products. Why aren't you stocking it? I'm not angry. I'm not, I'm making a face now, but I mean, you politely ask, like, why aren't you? I would buy it. In fact, I will buy it every week if you have it. But instead, I got to go 10 kilometers this way, 5 miles down the street and go get it at another store. If you had it, I would shop in one place. You start saying that more often, and your store, your local place where you spend your money, hopefully they'll listen and go up the chain if you have to. Talk to managers. Managers are supposed to listen to that. And if the manager's not listening, you might want to change stores because it means that they don't give a fuck. And so maybe shopping at a place where they do is in your best interests. So Lanny's saying, Bob's Red Mill is available just about everywhere. Yeah, 100%. Bob's Red Mill, man. They are, like I said, the Amazon of gluten-free. Every weird product. And I've shopped at stores, health food stores, where I'm talking the big ones, and they have exploded lately. They've, invested in all of these overpriced premiums that they're getting back. And they have the Bob's Red Mill section, right? And it's huge. Did you know there's like 150 different products from them? So great. And if you have the store, access to the store where you can get them in front of you, perfect. But in this era of pandemic, you're online. And yeah, you can totally get those things. You can get those strange products that, that I reference in a lot of my recipes on impulsiveculinarian.com. Or there's so many people cooking gluten-free. Like I say, I don't want to be the smartest one in the room. I'm just talking about it because we need to talk about it together. So when you're looking for a product and you're like, I don't know, Bob's Red Mill. That's a very good starting point. And then if you do find an alternative for things like xanthan gum, which are super expensive, and if any of you finds, oh, I found this brand, it's really good, I've tried it, and no reaction, then share it, man. Share it. We'll be happy to hear about it, and the community would love to know how to save a few bucks on some crazy ingredients that are always so fucking expensive. It's ridiculous. Julie Knight is saying, Crustiaz. It's spelled K-R-U-S-T-E-A-Z. Krusties? I guess that's the name, Krusties. I think that's a terrible name for a product, by the way. Yeah, I'm pee-pee caca humor here. But anyway, so Krusties makes excellent mixes for muffins and cakes. Well, there you go. Cool. So we were talking about Aldi before, right? And Char. So there's a couple of other options. They're brand new to me. I wasn't aware of these. So this is stuff that's probably not available in my area, but maybe wherever you live. So K-R-U-S-T-E-A-Z. So Julie Knight is sharing with us saying that they make excellent mixes for muffins and cakes. Thank you very much, Julie. I appreciate that share. That's important, man. That's really cool. And Ontim is saying, Lanny Ann. She's talking to Lanny Ann in the chat. In my area, limited as to number of products. I like going to website to order. Yep. Online, man. Come on. Who hasn't ordered from Amazon in the past month? It's okay. It's not a prerequisite to join the chat, but I'm just saying. My credit card is still sweating. And then Darlene is saying, it is a hard issue. Thank you. Yes, you know what? Yeah, that's why we can talk all day about that. And you are absolutely welcome to talk about your specific restrictions in your diet. We don't judge here, man. It's not. We're not going to sort of limit the conversation. It's important to have that broader conversation, and it may affect the kind of things that I do in the future. If enough of you are talking about, and again, I don't want to be the smartest one in the room, but if enough of you are saying, Paul, I liked your recipe for this. Can you do a variant that has this? Listen, on one request, unfortunately, I can't. And it's not to force you guys to rally together, but just by sheer power of conversation, if I see like, holy crap, man, every week we're talking about this particular ingredient that is okay. Well, maybe I'll try and develop a recipe. So I would be happy to put the time in. Happy to put the time in. It's important. So Lanny is saying, in California, we have a chain of stores called Big Lots where you can find Bob's Red Mill products. That's cool. Is that like a bulk store? Because up here, I'm in Montreal in Canada, and we have Bulk Barn, which is an Ontario-based company, which expanded into Quebec after a few years. We finally got access to it. And Bulk Barn exists in some way, shape, or form in every state, most countries, UK. There's a variant of that, right? And so that was huge because they ended up having so many important new products that I couldn't otherwise get access to. Even at the health food stores on the Bob's Red Mill shelf, or let's say it was available from Bob's or a variant thereof, but the bag was like, $20, and I would go to the bulk store and I would find a hell of a lot better price, and I would just buy the half a cup that I needed, so I didn't have to get a whole bag. That kind of stuff is great. So I'm not sure if Big Lots is a bulk store, but it sounds like it might be. It's a store which sells household goods, including furniture. No kidding. That's hilarious. And they're doing this? They're doing Bob's Red Mill? That sounds very much like Walmart, right? Do you guys remember Walmart before you could buy food there? Am I aging myself? I'm 50, so I don't give a shit. I'll tell you exactly how old I am. But I remember Walmart before food. Like you'd go to Walmart to buy, essentials, right? But then, oh, look at that. Hey, they're selling, bologna and loaves of bread. And now it's like it's a grocery store with a retail store attached to it. So that sounds to me, Big Lots, like what you're talking about. Just about every day, Amazon is very convenient. Yeah, I totally agree. Amazon for the win. And I mean, say what you will about the leadership of these big companies, but I think it's such an incredibly cool time to be alive. Granted, pandemic sucks. COVID sucks. Omicron variants suck. But it has forwarded the process of getting stuff that's really normally hard to get to you, right? So, and that's why this whole idea of finding the ingredients gluten-free, that was very prominent in the very early comments when I just started posting recipes on impulsiveculinarian.com. This is many years ago. It was like 6 years ago, I think, and maybe even longer. And I remember a lot of the comments were, okay, Paul, I'm sure it's great. Maybe it's not, but I can't find this, and this ingredient. And there was even a time when I used to start putting in links, affiliate links to try and be able to help people get to where they wanted to get the ingredient. And it was always Bob's Red Mill, and it was always through Amazon. I took all that shit off because I'm like, whatever. I don't care about that. I just want you to know the ingredient that I use. But then the questions start. Can I replace this with this instead? I've put a lot of effort into experimenting in a scientific way, as much of a scientific way as this musician brain can work, to sort of understand every flour. That was the first battle that I wanted to overcome. Understanding the texture and the culinary properties, taste, texture, interaction with other ingredients. I did that for pretty much every gluten-free flour and every starch, gluten-free starch, so that I could know, well, if I take these four and put them, but this one, oh, but I don't like the color, so much shit going on. It's crazy. Sheila Goss on Facebook is saying, Paul, in a pinch, Promise makes a wonderful gluten-free product. Really? They are based out of Ireland. No kidding. Well, isn't that cool? Promise. Promise is the name of the company or the brand. Promise, spelt like you would normally do. Okay, well, thank you for that, Sheila. That's cool to know. That's already 4, guys. That's 4 important brands that you may or may not have been aware of. And because we're talking about Amazon and delivery, and you can have basically order a new friend online, man. It's at your door next day. These are very important brands to have brought up. So thank you for sharing that, Sheila. I appreciate that. Promise, a brand based out of Ireland. Very cool. Thank you, Sheila. Appreciate it. So, yeah, Lanny is saying, thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. Well, I don't know how much knowledge you're getting out of me. I think the knowledge is really coming from you guys. I have put on a lot of effort, a lot of effort. And the repository of information that you can get on impulsiveculinarian.com will exist forever, long after I'm gone. But I think the real knowledge, and that's why I wanted to do this. That's why I want to have a live chat with you all to say, let's talk, let's discuss. I never would have known about these 4 brands that you guys have brought up or the challenges that people like Darlene are having. It's so important. It's so important. We need to be able to discuss that in real time and have an honest conversation. So Darlene is saying, I'm 60 and having to learn to cook all over again. Do it. Rock that. You got it, Darlene. Having skin issues and teaching others with the same problem with new recipes. Good for you, man. Good for you. So many gut issues these days. I feel you 100%. And in a sense, I've got you because I know that, for what it's worth, the recipes that I've done and only recipes you will ever find on impulsiveculinarian.com are 100% gluten-free. And when applicable, dairy-free, soy-free, sometimes vegetarian, like pescatarian, that kind of stuff. But the underlying foundation, every single recipe is gluten-free. That's important to know because I want you to feel that sense of safety. There are some proteins and intolerances that I don't address, but by talking about them together and getting uplifting motivation from people like Darlene here and all of you who are fighting that fight to say, I'm a freaking learn it. I'm not going to give up. So, Darlene, you're not alone. You're not alone. We're all with you, Pally. We get you. And whatever we can do to share that together, it's kind of like, I don't know if any of you guys out there are runners or if you do biking or anything like that, and you have this app called Strava. And the only reason for that app to exist is so people can say, good job. Way to go. I hear you. You ran today. Fucking A. You walked 5 feet. Fucking good job. That's what this is about. Maybe in a little bit more of a rewarding sense because a hell of a lot more work involved sometimes just to create a loaf of bread. It's a lot easier to run 10K if you have to, right? I mean, what would you rather do? But there's been a lot of work put into recipes that I've made, recipes that you guys have tried. So by talking about that together, good job, guys. Seriously mean that from the bottom of my heart. Fucking good job. Good on you. So Lanny's saying Europe has many gluten-free products. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, especially Ireland, Italy. That's where this stuff has really become prominent in their culture. Italy, pasta. Come on. Ireland. I know potatoes. You're going to say potatoes, but like fish and chips, man. Everything. So yeah, it's become more prominent in countries where you would expect it to be a thing. Right? It's very real, very real. Heather on YouTube is saying gluten-free on a shoestring. Yes, absolutely. By Nicole Hun. I know this. This is a great site. Great site. Absolutely. Highly recommend. She has lots of recipes for people that are sensitive to multiple ingredients. 100%. Shout out to Nicole Hun. Gluten-free on a shoestring. I remember discovering that site very early on and thinking, wow, this is awesome. Some of the very early adapters, right, to this, what is it, the Gluten-Free Goddess? I remember her. She was like one of the first ones. She had the blog, and she's like, listen, I don't know why this is so freaking crazy popular, but I'm going to keep doing it. Everyone is begging her to make a cookbook. I don't even know what she's up to these days. I haven't been a long time. Gluten-Free Goddess. You're triggering me, man. I'm having flashbacks here. But yes, gluten-free on a shoestring, 100%. There's so many incredible people. And again, I'm going to say this every week, guys. I don't want to be the smartest one in the room. That's not what it's about. I'm not here to flex. Oh. No. I know a bit. I will share. And I'm hoping to invite you guys to also share. That's the whole point of this. From my kitchen, man. Let's hang out in the kitchen. Have coffee. I started a little bit later than I wanted to today. It's noon up here in Montreal. So I think I'm going to start. I started this one at 11 Eastern. And I planned on going for around an hour or so on Sunday morning. So I think next week I'm going to start a little bit earlier, 10 a.m. But I invite your feedback for that. And of course, listen, this is important. You guys need to be able to get in touch with me. So if we're not live and you're not in the chat and you're watching this after the fact, you're watching the VOD, video on demand, on YouTube, I will make them always available on YouTube. That's why I wanted to stream on YouTube, so I could just sort of make a playlist of our discussions. And being able to catch up on that just in case, you think, oh yeah, Paul said he was going to talk about this that week and I wasn't available on Sunday morning. I get it. That's fine. The value is in the live chat, so we can all discuss this together. But if you miss it, that's cool. All of these chats are going to be available on my YouTube channel, so you can just find Impulsive Culinarian wherever. I have an Instagram as well. I haven't posted there in a million years, but I may start putting some content there. I don't know what kind of content. I don't really have a plan for the weekly content. This is the big part. This is the big component that I wanted to do. I knew I had to get that conversation going again and to sort of say, hi guys, I miss you. I'm alive. I'm here. I'm doing well. And the brand still exists. We need to have this discussion, gluten-free discussion, and all the things that come with that. There's so many conversations for us to have. So I know that we're never going to be short of topics to talk about. Darlene is saying, where can I check out your recipes? I know I know how to make them my own. You're the best. All right, so Darlene, in answer to that, I'm going to put the link to my website in the chat, which you're going to see. Whoops. Can I spell? I need to copy paste this instead of trying to type it each time. Impulsive. Wow, Thibaut, get it together. ImpulsiveCulinarian.com. So that's the website. You'll see that link in the chat of YouTube and maybe on Twitter. And if you're on Facebook, then I invite you to go to my channel, my page on Facebook. You'll see Impulsive Culinarian has a page with a description on the side. And I'm sure there's something in there. I think it's a link tree which brings you to wherever. You want to go to my website. You want to go to my Instagram or Twitter. There's like 100 different ways to get in touch with me. So yeah, I invite you to go check that out, guys. And follow me on whatever platform you're watching this on so that you'll probably get notifications. I think on YouTube you have to there's a bell. You hit the click the bell. And if it's annoying to you, don't click the bell. I don't care. It's for you guys to be able to have, oh yes, okay, I have a question and you want to come in and ask it. That would be fantastic. I really appreciate you guys being live with me here this morning. I'm so thankful to see so many familiar faces. Sheila, it's great to see you. Kim Lisk is watching. What? Kim? Shh. We're doing gluten-free today. All right? Good to see you, Pally. So yeah, it's a lot of fun to see so many familiar faces and some new names that I'm not familiar with. Some familiar, some new on YouTube. That's wonderful. I really appreciate you guys. So listen, my name is Paul Thibaut, a.k.a. Thibaut. You can call me wherever you want. Just don't call me late for dinner. And I have a bunch of recipes that cater to gluten-free on my website, ImpulsiveCulinarian.com. And the end thing that I want to pull out is that we're going to be doing this every week. Every Sunday morning, we're going to have a little chat. We're going to hang out, talk about all the things that bother us about gluten-free, and also, more importantly, our successes. So we can just say, good job, good job. Don't give up the fight, guys. You're not alone. We're here. We got your back. This community is one of the best that I've ever had the pleasure of experiencing as an online content creator. So I just want to say it's good to be back, and I miss you guys, and I hope to see you again next week. Next Sunday, let's say 10 a.m. Eastern, roughly. Brew the coffee, man. Make an extra pot. You could get ugly. No, I won't get ugly. It'll be fun. Darlene saying, got it. Thanks. Health and blessings to you all. Enjoyed it. Wonderful. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We'll catch you in the next one. Until